So, hello, good afternoon. We are here with Uwe Diegel from the Healthbank company, product development, I remember. And you're one of our closing keynote speakers. And we're really excited to hear you talk about the future of AI, specifically in healthcare where you're working. It would be great if you can introduce yourself a little bit and tell us a few things about you. And also, yes, what you're working on.
So my name is Uwe. I'm working at Healthbank. Healthbank is a Swiss data hub that aims to collect all the world's medical data so that we can use it for epidemiological research. We have a major problem right now in Europe. It's a semantic problem because it's all about negativity. Most people are scared of artificial intelligence. They think of Google as this evil entity that's busy watching you and stealing your data. And again, if I ask you, Elena, are you scared that I'm going to take your data and I'm going to sell it to the insurance to make you pay more money? Then you say yes. But in reality, I've never once met a patient who wasn't prepared to share his data. If I ask you, Elena, would you share your anonymous blood pressure data with the Heart Foundation to do medical research? Then you say yes. So we need to demystify artificial intelligence. And this is what I'm going to talk about this afternoon, the fear and loathing of data, because people are scared of data. I'm talking about the general public. I think most people here want to use their data, but the future is really to make data usage more friendly. If I may ask you a question, I know you're asking me questions, but how much do you think your data is worth? You're young, you're beautiful, you're wonderful, you're Greek. How much do you think you are worth?
Well, my Greekness minus 5 points. Jokes. Honestly, I don't know. I do remember reading some statistics that actually your debt is not as much worth as you think it is. Like something on Facebook is about 15 euros per person or even less. Is that correct?
It's actually much less. Okay. Because data is only valuable if it's used. Your value as a person is only $1.67. I'm sorry, for you maybe $1.68 because you're more beautiful than most. But generally, if just the data of one individual is $1.67 as estimated by Harvard University. But if I take all the value of all the data of the people here, it's worth a lot more than the number of people multiplied by $1.67, because then I can use it for medical research, epidemiological research. I can use it to save a life. And that really is a true value of artificial intelligence. The big problem is that artificial intelligence is basically a misnomer. We think of it, and that's what scares people, but there is no there's no intelligence without emotion. If it's just intelligence without emotion, then it becomes just calculations, binary. And in fact, the big problem with artificial intelligence is that now we're all collecting data and we're putting it in silos that don't talk to one another, which means that you only have a little bit of intelligence on one specific subject. A few years ago, I did an incredibly interesting study on breast cancer. So we took the files of 18,000 women who had breast cancer and we put them on a cloud and we digitized them and we started doing research. And the problem is that we found that, for instance, if you look at the data of 18,000 women with breast cancer, you can use the data to show, beyond a doubt, that smoking cigarettes is good for breast cancer. That statistically, you see it. But that's the problem today with artificial intelligence, is that we're looking for questions rather than looking for answers. We don't ask questions, is it because women who smoke have less children, and is it because they have less children that they have less breast cancer? That is, for me, the future of artificial intelligence. Right now, mostly what we're doing in artificial intelligence is bean counting. We're just taking it and regurgitating it in a cleaner format. But the next phase is going to be fascinating.
And what is the next phase?
Well, the next phase is really when we know that all the answers are in the cloud. We just don't know yet what the questions are going to be, and that really is going to be the next thing. When we start taking all the data together and really playing with it and start mixing data, not just only taking the data of hypertension or of diabetes or of cancer, but start cross-pollinating data to actually find new results and new questions.
Yes, very, very good point. I'm wondering, knowing about the product, knowing Healthbank, if by donating your data as well, you're empowering yourself and as a user to be able to also understand your data more. What will be your comments on that?
Well, again, I believe that in the future, giving your data will be about the same thing as doing an organ donation. everybody's for, or not everybody does it, but nobody's against it, if you see what I mean. I think that, the Healthbank is structured in a way that we've created a cooperative. So if you donate your data, you become a member and a shareholder of the company, and you always still have the full traceability of your data, of how it's going to be used. And this is really the true question. How do you convince people to share data that they're scared of sharing? So we've built an ecosystem of trust where people can follow and see who's using their data for what study. For instance, if you suffer from multiple sclerosis, you will receive a message, hey, there's a new study started by this pharmaceutical company. Would you like to use your data? And if you agree to use your data, then you get paid for it. So it's really cool.
Pretty cool indeed. And you also work, for example, with organizations that, as you mentioned, like there's a study about multiple sclerosis. That doesn't mean that if there's any startups, let's say, that they're working on this, do you have a collaboration between the three institutions? So Healthbank, the research institution, and the startup. Is that some sort of like a popular consortium?
That is the ultimate aim. I really believe that everything that can be connected will be connected. I think whether it's a car, a chair, a glass, a blood pressure monitor, if it can be connected, it will be connected. So I've been pushing for many years for an open ecosystem where everything touches and communicates, all the data works together. Right now we are already in contact with, for instance, several, not just pharmaceutical companies, but research institutes in Switzerland. Right now we only have about 260,000 users, which sounds like a lot, but it's still not enough. I would like to have 2 million users before the end of next year. And when you start having 2 million users, then you start being really interesting for research institutes, for clinical. We're also working with 3 governments to actually take all the data from all the people, mostly in developing countries, because that's where they need it the most. In European countries, we are a bit restrained by regulatory because of the ghost of data safety that everybody's shaking around. But I really believe that within the next 4 or 5 years, people will have demystified this idea of data safety.
Give us an example of a project that you're working on so we can get excited about it.
Well, for instance, now we're working with a major manufacturer of medical devices, I'm not allowed to say the name, of course, on, in fact, predicting better outcomes for diabetes. So we take hundreds, or actually not hundreds of thousands, but tens of thousands of patients with diabetes to actually be able to predict what is going to happen. And that is really the future of healthcare, is not to have a solution for everyone, but to have a solution for each and every single one of us. So we have an individual solution for you, Elena, that's built just according to what your historical background is, who your mother was, who your father was, your antecedents. That is really the key, to offer personalized healthcare, and this is what we're doing today. Mostly today we're focused on chronic diseases such as diabetes, hypertension, things that are massive, that there's just... but the next step is really to focus on things that nobody really thinks about. Because, for instance, there's more people, or the same amount of people dying of tuberculosis or diarrhea than there are of diabetes. But up to now, nobody's really cared, because it's mostly poor people, developing countries. So it's a horrible thing to say. So today we're focused on diabetes, on cardiovascular, but the next step is really to attack problems that nobody actually thinks about.
That's a very good point, and I really like that. It's humanitarian, it's AI for social good, data for social good. On that note, I would like to ask you a final question about your experience here at the conference. I mean, thank you very much for coming, and really looking forward to your talk. But yeah, what would you say so far would be, your experience here with all these people talking about the topics that you are interested in and similarly addressing with your work?
I heard some fascinating talks this morning, and I really could see it's reflecting my train of thought as well, that we need to push for open AI, open solutions, that everybody works together. I've seen that Hippo AI project. I love it. It's fantastic. And to have the people who are going to make the healthcare of tomorrow, everybody's here at Data Natives. It's fantastic.
Glad to hear that, and thank you so much for coming.
It's a privilege.
Thank you.